evening. Here is top news newsletter, starting with the headlines. Syrian army repels attack ambitious terrorists killing many in continued operations. President al-Assad fighting terrorism demands a real political will and cooperation. Lavrov West shows unwillingness in Ukraine trust. The army killed a number of terrorists and injured many others in the countryside. The army and armed forces also carried out intensive strike against the terrorist organizations gathering and then in many areas across the countryside, eliminating many of their members, injured others and destroying their vehicles and weapons. Army operations resulted in the death of many terrorists in Salmin, Zimrin, Al-Malla and Tal al-Antar in the northern western countryside. The army eliminated a number of Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists during their attempt to advance toward Al-Salam highway in Khan Sheikh. 2 vehicles equipped with heavy machine guns were also destroyed. The army killed a number of terrorists in the farm of Sasa area. The army destroyed the dens and the vehicles for terrorists in Al-Mallaha farm, Salah ad-Din and Al-Marrat al-Artiq and Aleppo and Old Aleppo and the surrounding of Saitul in Aleppo and its countryside, killing a number of terrorists. Units of the army and armed forces thwarted an attack launched by terrorists from the direction of the Old Alwar neighborhood in Homs city toward Al-Muhandisin roundabout. Other army units killed the terrorists from the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria in Rahom village in the eastern countryside of the central province of Homs. Army units also eliminated many terrorists and injured the other in Rajm al-Qasr and Somoa in the eastern countryside of Homs. Army units stormed into ISIS hideouts in the area of Jbeila and Sinandara in Deir Zor city and established full control over important sections of these areas after eliminating a number of terrorists. Another army unit, in cooperation with the local defenses group, targeted ISIS concentration in Hwayjat al-Maraya in Deir Zor, killing over 60 terrorists, the majority of them from non-Syrian nationalities. President Bashar al-Assad stressed that fighting terrorism demands a real political will and a conviction that the outcome will be in the interest of the as much as the danger jeopardize everyone. If this issue could be tackled based on that principle, surely we will have tangible positive results and more quickly, adding the president speaking during a meeting with the French delegation headed by Senate member. Head of the Senate's French-Syrian Relations Committee, Jean-Pierre Viel, based on that logic, he said that Syria has always encouraged cooperation among countries, considering that such cooperation is the most effective way to hold back terrorism and effectually eliminated it. The president made it clear that Syria has always been and still is developing with the boosting relations with the other countries on the space of respecting sovereignty, non-interference in internal affairs and maintaining common interests. He stressed the significant role which parliamentarians could play in rationalizing the government policies in a way that allow realizing the people's interests. Talks during the meeting, which were marked by frankness and openness, touched upon the Syrian-French relations and the development and the challenge facing the Arab and European regions, especially with regard to the terrorism. The president's view on developing relations was echoed by the French delegation members who voiced their belief in the necessity of joint work in the various fields to the best interest of the Syrian and France. It's in the France's best interest to have security and stability consolidation in the region and to cooperate with Syria to curb terrorism, which has come to pose a threat to Europe too, and not just to people of the Middle East region, the delegation members added. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the West of showing a willingness in the truce in eastern Ukraine. Behind this calls lies in the willingness of these figures, these relevant countries, the United States, the European Union, to seek the implementation of what was agreed in Minsk on February 12, said Lavrov, referring to the Ukraine truce brokered by France and Germany. They are trying to whip up the historical sentiment to deflect attention from the need to follow the Minsk agreement, he said in televised remarks. Russia's top diplomat accused the West of putting forward laughable demand concerning the enforcement of the truce. Everyone understands perfectly well that there are no idle truces and idle ceasefire, he said, noting the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe has reported least figuring in eastern Ukraine. For Russia, he added, the most important thing was to ensure the settlement of the Ukrainian crisis, not to carry favor with the West. The most important thing isn't to appease certain Western country or Western figures who threaten us with the sanctions. Lavrov said urged Kiev to implement the long-mooted constitutional reform. The ceasefire in Western Ukraine showed some signs of taking hold this week, although there was still no confirmation from the OSCE of a pullback of heavy weapons from the front line, a key plank of the truce. The Lebanese army carried out an operation at dawn on the outskirts of Ras Baalbek and Versal using rocket artillery, heavy and medium weapons to protect its post near the border and reduce infiltration operations by militant group. In Al-Biqa Valley, the army covered the area with the shelling, aircraft and helicopters. Flies an army forces advance towards Jarash Hill in Ras Baalbek. The army managed to establish an observation point and a leading position in the face of Takfiri group's positions. This came as the army fully cleared Jarash Hill after defeating extremist groups. A number of improvised explosive devices prepared for pumping were found and the army dismantled it. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Inas Ahmed. Good night.